Do not let your phone disciple your morning. Do not let a screen become your first pastor, your first prophet, your first counselor. Because the first voice you obey often becomes the voice that governs your day. Did you catch that? Not the first voice you hear only, but the first voice you obey. The first voice you give authority to. Many people wake up and before they have spoken to God, they have already listened to fear. Before they have thanked God for breath, they have already received anxiety from the news. Before they have remembered who they are, they have allowed a message, a bill, a deadline, a memory, or another person's life to define them. Then they wonder why the day feels heavy. My friend, the day did not become heavy by accident. You gave weight to the wrong voice first. Let me ask you something. What should you say before the day speaks to you? Before the news tells you what to fear, before pressure tells you what to chase, before bills tell you what you lack, before deadlines tell you who owns your time, before emotions tell you what you are not, before people call you by your problem, your past, your weakness, or your responsibility, what should come out of your mouth first? Here is the truth. The morning is not just a time of day. The morning is a spiritual gateway. It is the place where identity is remembered, atmosphere is established, and direction is received. Your first moments are not empty moments. They are formative moments. They are training moments. They are governing moments. What enters you first often leads you next. If you begin in noise, noise will train your spirit. If you begin in comparison, comparison will measure your worth. If you begin in fear, fear will interpret your opportunities. If you begin in pressure, pressure will drive your decisions. But if you begin in the presence of God, truth will settle you. Gratitude will correct you. Kingdom priority will order you. Peace will stand guard at the door of your heart. This is why before your feet touch the floor, heaven must speak first. Before you speak to people, speak to God. Before you answer the world, answer your Creator. Before you check what others are doing, remember what God has spoken over you. You were not born merely to survive another day. You were born with purpose. You were created for dominion, stewardship, service, and representation. The world will try to rename you every morning. Heaven must remind you first. In this teaching, I want to give you 3 morning declarations. Not religious phrases. Not empty words. Not positive thinking dressed in spiritual language. These are declarations of alignment. They train your soul to remember who God made you to be before the world tries to make you something else. They bring your mouth, your mind, and your movement back under kingdom government. And if you are choosing God's voice over morning noise, make that decision consistently, not casually. Subscribe and walk through this discipline with intention. Because identity is not strengthened by occasional inspiration. It is formed by daily alignment. And as you listen, prepare your heart to write one truth in the comments. One truth you are choosing to believe about your identity today. Not what fear says, not what pressure says, not what your past says, what God says. Because the first voice you give authority to in the morning will influence the identity you carry through the day. Now, this is where many people miss it. They think identity is something they must invent. They wake up and ask the world, who am I today? They ask their emotions. They ask their history. They ask their failures. They ask public opinion. They ask the mirror. They ask social media. But my friend, identity is not what life calls you. Identity is what the King designed you to be. Did you catch that? Identity is not self-invention. Identity is not public approval. Identity is not emotional reaction. Identity is not social comparison. Identity is the discovery of God's original intent. You do not become yourself by listening to noise. You become yourself by returning to design. A thing is never understood by asking the environment around it. A thing is understood by asking the manufacturer who made it. And if God made you, then God is the only one qualified to define you. This is why so many people wake up troubled before anything has happened. They say, I'm having a bad day. No, sometimes you are not having a day problem. You are having an identity problem that shows up early. It shows up as anxiety before breakfast. It shows up as hurry before prayer. It shows up as distraction before direction. It shows up as self-talk that agrees with fear before your mouth has agreed with heaven. You wake up and say, I am behind. Who told you that? You say, I am not enough. Who gave you that name? You say, nothing ever works for me. Who trained your mouth to prophesy defeat over a day God has not finished yet? Let me tell you something. The enemy does not need to destroy your whole life if he can corrupt your first confession. If he can get you to begin the day outside of identity, he can make you spend the rest of the day fighting shadows. But here is the truth. In Genesis 1:26, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Notice the order. Image first. Likeness first. Then dominion. God did not give dominion to confusion. He gave dominion to identity. He created humanity to reflect him, represent him, think under his government, act with responsibility, and steward the earth according to his purpose. Then Genesis says he blessed them and told them to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. That means fruitfulness was in the original design. Responsibility was in the original design. Representation was in the original design. You were never designed to wake up as a slave to fear, a servant of pressure, or a prisoner of other people's opinions. You were designed to wake up as an image bearer of God. Now listen carefully. Dominion does not mean control over people. Some people hear dominion and become dangerous because they think kingdom means domination. No, dominion is not controlling people. Dominion is responsible stewardship. It is governing what God has entrusted to you. Your gifts, your time, your thoughts, your appetites, your decisions, your assignments, your words, your attitude, your body, your influence, your obedience. If you cannot govern your thoughts in the morning, do not ask for a larger territory. If you cannot govern your mouth before breakfast, do not complain about closed doors. If you cannot govern your appetite for noise, comparison, and distraction, you will surrender the throne of your day to anything that demands attention. Dominion begins inside before it becomes visible outside. That is why the morning matters. The morning is not just about getting ready for work. The morning is about returning to design. Before you check your messages, check your meaning. Before you answer the world, answer your Creator. Before you read what people want from you, remember what God placed within you. Before you let the day assign value to you, speak in agreement with the one who formed you. Say, Father, I was made in your image. I was created for purpose. I am not here by accident. I carry responsibility. I carry stewardship. I carry assignment. I will not let fear define me before your truth reminds me. My friend, identity is not what life calls you. Identity is what the King designed you to be. Life may call you delayed. The King calls you appointed. Life may call you overlooked. The King calls you chosen. Life may call you damaged. The King calls you restored. Life may call you ordinary. The King calls you his representative. And this is where kingdom identity begins. It begins when your words come back into agreement with God's original purpose for your life. Not when your circumstances change. Not when people approve. Not when the emotions settle. It begins when you say what heaven says before fear finishes its sentence. So tomorrow morning, do not let anxiety explain you to yourself. Do not let hurry tell you who you are. Do not let a notification become your identity coach. Open your mouth and agree with design. Because if God created you in his image, then your first words should not agree with your fear. They should agree with your King. Now we come to the first declaration. And this is the declaration of priority. Say it with understanding. I seek first the kingdom of God, and my day comes into divine order. Not second. Not after the panic. Not after the phone. Not after the schedule has already crowned itself king. First. Because whatever you seek first gains authority over what follows next. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Notice that word first. He did not say seek the kingdom when you have time. He did not say seek the kingdom after you check the news. He did not say seek the kingdom after you have worried for 30 minutes and exhausted your spirit before breakfast. He said, first, my friend, firstness is not a suggestion. Firstness is a law of alignment. Whatever gets first place gains governing influence over the rest. If fear is first, fear will govern your interpretation. If pressure is first, pressure will govern your pace. If your problem is first, your problem will become larger than your God in your imagination. If people's opinions are first, you will spend the whole day performing for voices that were never assigned to define you. But when the kingdom is first, order enters, peace enters, authority enters, purpose enters. Let me tell you something. God does not want to be added to your morning. He must govern your morning. Many people add God like a decoration after they have already enthroned anxiety. They rush, scroll, complain, check messages, rehearse yesterday, fear tomorrow, and then say, Lord, bless my day. But the day has already received its instructions. The atmosphere has already been trained. The throne has already been occupied. That is why you must confront the morning idols. The phone can become an idol. The schedule can become an idol. The problem can become an idol. The memory of yesterday can become an idol. The opinion of others can become an idol. Even the pressure to perform can become an idol. An idol is not only a carved image. An idol is anything you give first authority to before God. Did you catch that? Anything that gets your first attention, first affection, first fear, or first obedience can become a false governor. Seeking first is not only prayer. Prayer is part of it, but seeking first is deeper than speaking religious words. It is surrendering the throne of the day before the day begins. It is saying, Lord, this day does not belong to my fear. This day does not belong to my deadlines. This day does not belong to my insecurity. This day does not belong to yesterday's pain. This day belongs to the King, and I place it under kingdom government. Before your feet touch the floor, pause. Do not rush past your own spirit. Do not let the body move before the soul bows. Say, Lord, I seek your kingdom first. Order my thoughts, my words, my decisions, and my steps. Say it slowly. Say it with authority. Say it until your mind remembers who governs you. Your first words do not have to be long, but they must be aligned. The issue is not volume. The issue is priority. This is what made Daniel powerful. Daniel was taken into a foreign culture. They changed his environment. They changed his education. They changed his name. They tried to train him under another system. But Daniel had an inner government stronger than the culture around him. Why? Consistency. He did not wait until crisis came to seek God. He had a rhythm. He had an altar. He had a priority. The kingdom of Babylon tried to rename him, but his consistency with God kept his identity intact. You must understand this. The world will try to rename you every morning. It will call you stressed. It will call you behind. It will call you insufficient. It will call you forgotten. It will call you powerless. But when you seek the kingdom first, you answer before the culture finishes speaking. You say, no, I am under the government of God. My identity is not for sale today. My peace is not available today. My purpose is not negotiable today. When God is first in the morning, the day is no longer driven by pressure. It is ordered by kingdom priority. Pressure may still come, but it will not be your Lord. Problems may still appear, but they will not be your source. People may still demand, but they will not define. You have already bowed to the King, so you do not have to bow to confusion. So tomorrow morning, do not begin with the world and ask God to catch up. Begin with God and let the world take its proper place. Seek first, surrender first, align first. Because when the King governs the first moment, he establishes order for the remaining moments. But listen carefully. Seeking God first sets the atmosphere. But that atmosphere must be filled with words that agree with heaven. It is not enough to bow your heart if your mouth keeps planting fear. The next thing you must understand is that your words are not empty. Your mouth is the garden where the day receives its seeds. Now listen carefully. Prayer opens the heart, but declaration trains the mind. Prayer brings you into surrender, but declaration brings your thoughts into agreement. Prayer bows the soul before God, but declaration disciplines the emotions that want to run wild after you rise from your knees. This is why many people pray in the morning and still speak fear the rest of the day. They seek God with their heart, then they plant panic with their mouth. Did you catch that? You can open the day with prayer and still sabotage the atmosphere with your words. You can say, Lord, I trust you, and then 5 minutes later say, this day is going to be terrible. You can say, God, order my steps, and then say, nothing ever works for me. My friend, your mouth must not betray the altar. If you gave the day to God, do not take it back with complaint. Words are not merely sounds. Words are seeds. Words are agreements. Words are steering mechanisms for identity. When you speak, you are not just describing what you feel. Many times, you are authorizing what will govern you. That is why careless speech is dangerous. A careless mouth can plant a harvest the heart never wanted to eat. Proverbs 18:21 says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Notice what it says. It does not say life and death are only in the power of your private thoughts. It says there is power in the tongue. There is authority in what is released. There is weight in what is spoken. Your thoughts matter, yes, but when thoughts become words, they take on assignment. They move from imagination into atmosphere. This is why silence is not always neutral. Some people say, I just do not say anything in the morning. But if you do not speak truth, fear will speak. If you do not speak identity, memory will speak. If you do not speak kingdom, culture will speak. If you do not speak gratitude, complaint will take the microphone. The question is not whether the morning will be filled with words. The question is whose words will fill it. Every morning your mouth becomes the garden of your day. What you plant early will try to grow later. Complaint plants weeds. Gratitude plants clarity. Fear plants hesitation. Faith plants courage. Lies plant confusion. Truth plants identity. If you wake up saying, I am tired, I am stressed, I am behind, I cannot handle this, do not be surprised when your emotions begin to organize themselves around those seeds. A garden does not argue with the seed. It produces what is planted. Your day often does the same. If you plant defeat, you will fight defeat. If you plant offense, you will carry offense. If you plant anxiety, you will interpret everything through anxiety. But when you plant truth, truth begins to govern the soil. When you plant gratitude, clarity begins to rise. When you plant faith, courage begins to take root. When you plant identity, you stop living as a stranger to yourself. Now let me be clear. Declarations are not magic formulas. This is not manipulation. This is not trying to force heaven to obey your wishes. No. Kingdom declaration is verbal alignment with what God has already spoken. You are not inventing truth. You are agreeing with truth. You are not creating identity from your ego. You are returning your mouth to God's original design. So before you announce your problems, announce your source. Before you rehearse your weakness, declare His strength. Before you tell the day how overwhelmed you are, tell your soul who governs you. Say, I belong to God. My mind is coming into order. My emotions are coming under truth. My words will agree with heaven today. This is not denial. This is dominion. Denial pretends there is no problem. Dominion speaks from a higher government in the presence of the problem. You may have pressure, but pressure is not your king. You may have responsibilities, but responsibility is not your identity. You may have battles, but battle is not your name. Speak before the day labels you. The words you release in the morning plant the identity you will either live from or fight against all day. So do not make your soul fight unnecessary battles because your mouth planted the wrong seeds before breakfast. Declare truth early. Plant carefully. Speak with understanding. Because after you declare God's priority, you must declare your position. Now the second declaration is the declaration of identity. Say it with understanding. I am created in God's image, sent with purpose, and authorized to represent the King today. Do not say it casually. Do not say it like a religious slogan. Say it like a citizen who has remembered his government. Say it like a son who has remembered his father. Say it like an ambassador who has remembered his assignment. Because, my friend, you do not wake up as a victim waiting for the day to tell you who you are. You wake up as a representative of the King. Circumstances may speak, but they are not your creator. Pressure may speak, but it is not your source. People may speak, but they are not your manufacturer. The day may bring demands, delays, confrontations, and surprises, but none of those things have the authority to define the image of God in you. In 2 Corinthians 5:20, Paul says, we are ambassadors for Christ. Did you catch that? Ambassadors. Not beggars, not wanderers, not spiritual tourists, ambassadors. An ambassador does not represent himself. He represents a kingdom. He carries the interest, culture, authority, and message of the government that sent him. So when you enter your workplace, your home, your meeting, your classroom, your responsibility, you are not merely showing up as a person with tasks. You are showing up as a representative with purpose. This is why Genesis 1:26 is so important. God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Image first, representation first, then dominion. Before God gave man work, he gave man identity. Before he gave man assignment, he gave man likeness. Before he told man what to do, he established who man was. And this is where many people are exhausted. They are trying to do without first remembering who they are. Doing without being creates exhaustion. Activity without identity creates slavery. Responsibility without revelation becomes pressure. You can have a full schedule and an empty soul if you begin the day from the wrong name. That is why identity must be declared before activity begins. Before you answer the email, answer the lie. Before you handle the assignment, handle the accusation. Before you step into the day, stand in your sonship, because the morning has voices that try to rename you. I am behind. I am forgotten. I am not enough. I am what happened to me. I am what they said about me. I am what I lost. I am what I failed to finish. I am too late. I am too broken. I am too ordinary. Let me tell you something. Those are not just thoughts. Those are identity attacks. If you agree with them early, you will carry their weight all day. So you must answer them with truth. I am not my delay. I am not my mistake. I am not my fear. I am not yesterday's label. I am not the opinion of people who did not create me. I am not the wound that tried to define me. I am not the season that disappointed me. I am God's workmanship. I am God's image bearer. I am God's representative. I am sent with purpose. And I carry the culture of heaven into the conditions of earth. Notice, I did not say you will not face trouble. I said trouble does not own your identity. You may enter a difficult room, but you do not enter as difficulty's servant. You may face conflict, but you do not enter as conflict's child. You may have bills, deadlines, responsibilities, and questions, but you do not enter the day as a victim of these things. You enter as one under authority, and because you are under authority, you can exercise authority. I once knew a person who began every morning condemning himself. Before he brushed his teeth, he rehearsed his failures. Before he opened the door, he had already spoken defeat over his discipline. He would say, I always mess things up. I can never stay focused. I am too weak. And then he wondered why the day felt like a battle he had already lost. But he began to change one thing. Before activity, he declared identity. He said, I am a son of God. I am not ruled by condemnation. I have purpose today. I will walk in discipline. I will act with courage. I will represent my Father well. At first, nothing around him changed. The same job, the same responsibilities, the same pressures, but something inside him began to come into order. Condemnation lost its morning seat. Shame lost its microphone. Fear lost its right to lead. Discipline began to rise. Courage began to rise. Peace began to rise. He did not become perfect overnight, but he stopped beginning the day by agreeing with the enemy. He changed his confession, and his posture began to change. That is what kingdom identity does. It changes your posture. You stop walking into the day bent under every possible problem. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop letting people's moods determine your worth. You stop carrying yourself like life is doing you a favor by letting you survive. No, you carry yourself with humility, but also with authority. Humility says, I belong to God. Authority says, I represent Him today. So tomorrow morning, declare it before the activity begins. I am created in God's image. I am sent with purpose. I am authorized to represent the King today. Say it before the fear speaks. Say it before the calendar shouts. Say it before yesterday tries to return. Say it until your shoulders remember. Say it until your mind comes into agreement. Say it until your spirit stands up. You do not enter the day merely as a person with tasks. You enter it as God's representative with purpose. But identity is not complete until it becomes movement. The kingdom is not only confessed, it is demonstrated. Now we come to the third declaration, and this is the declaration of movement. Say with understanding. My steps are ordered by the Lord, and I move with wisdom, courage, discipline, and purpose. Not just my thoughts, not just my words, my steps. Because faith that never becomes movement remains hidden in intention. Proverbs 3:6 says, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Notice, it says in all your ways. Not only in church, not only in crisis, not only in the things you call spiritual. In all your ways, your planning, your working, your conversations, your decisions, your spending, your resting, your serving, your building, your forgiving. Acknowledge him, then walk in the path he makes straight. Psalm 37:23 says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Did you catch that? Steps. God does not only order ideas, he orders steps. Many people want God to bless their destination, but they refuse to submit their steps. They want the promise, but not the process. They want the harvest, but not the obedience. They want open doors, but they're still sitting in yesterday's fear, waiting for destiny to drag them forward. Let me tell you something. Favor does not find people who only wish. Favor meets movement. Favor meets obedience. Favor meets preparation. Favor meets service. Favor meets discipline. Favor meets the person who rises and says, Lord, if you order my steps, I will move my feet. This is the rhythm. Seek, speak, move. Seeking aligns the heart. Speaking establishes the atmosphere. Moving proves faith through responsibility. If you seek but never speak, your atmosphere remains vulnerable. If you speak but never move, your declaration becomes noise. But when you seek God first, speak truth with authority, and move in obedience, your whole life begins to come under kingdom order. Some people call passivity spirituality. They say, I am waiting on God, but many times God is waiting on them to obey the last instruction. Waiting on God is not the same as hiding from responsibility. Waiting on God is not an excuse for laziness, fear, disorder, or delay. There is a holy waiting, yes, but there is also a disobedient waiting that disguises fear as patience. You cannot declare, my steps are ordered, and then refuse to take a step. You cannot say, God guide me, and then ignore the wisdom he already gave you. You cannot ask for increase and refuse discipline. You cannot ask for healing and refuse forgiveness. You cannot ask for opportunity and refuse preparation. You cannot ask for influence and refuse faithfulness in small places. Purposeful action is not always dramatic. Sometimes the kingdom step is making the call you have avoided. Sometimes it is writing the plan. Sometimes it is forgiving the offense. Sometimes it is studying the skill. Sometimes it is showing up on time. Sometimes it is governing your appetite. Sometimes it is finishing the assignment. Sometimes it is cleaning the space, apologizing with humility, honoring your word, or beginning again without complaint. Do not despise small steps. Small obedience is still obedience. Small discipline is still discipline. Small movement is still movement. The kingdom often grows like seed, not like thunder. It begins quietly, but it carries power. A ordered step today can become an open door tomorrow. A disciplined decision today can become a transformed character tomorrow. A hidden act of obedience today can become visible favor in due season. Think about Ruth. Ruth did not sit in bitterness waiting for favor to pity her. She was a widow. She had loss. She had uncertainty. She had every reason to stay stuck in grief. But Ruth moved with loyalty, humility, and responsibility. She said to Naomi, your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Then she went to the field. She served. She gathered. She worked. She honored. And favor met her while she was moving. Favor found Ruth in the field, not in fantasy. Favor found her working, not wishing. Favor found her serving, not complaining. Favor found her taking the next responsible step. My friend, Boaz did not meet Ruth because she had a dream only. He met her because her feet carried her into obedience. Her movement positioned her for provision. This is why your morning declaration must become action before the day gets away from you. Before you leave the house, name one obedient action, not 10 vague intentions. One kingdom step, one thing that agrees with what you declared. Say, today I will make that call. Today I will finish that assignment. Today I will forgive. Today I will prepare. Today I will serve with excellence. Today I will govern my words. Today I will walk into that room as a representative of the King. Do not leave the morning altar without an assignment. Prayer opens your spirit. Declaration orders your identity. But obedience gives your faith a body. Kingdom identity becomes visible when declared truth turns into ordered, responsible action. So tomorrow morning, say it slowly. My steps are ordered by the Lord, and I move with wisdom, courage, discipline, and purpose. Then take the step. Move with wisdom, not impulse. Move with courage, not fear. Move with discipline, not excuse. Move with purpose, not confusion. Because the day is not only something you survive, it is something you steward. These three declarations are not isolated sentences. They are a morning system. Priority, position, and movement. I seek first the kingdom. I am a representative of the King. My steps are ordered, and I move with purpose. When these become your daily rhythm, they begin to train your identity before the world trains your reactions. And that is where many people miss the power. They hear a declaration one time, feel encouraged for one moment, and then go back to the same morning disorder. But my friend, the power is not only in saying it once. The power is in letting it become a system, a rhythm, a covenant, a daily agreement between your mouth, your mind, your movement, and the government of God. Seek first. Speak identity. Move with purpose. That is the order. Do not reverse it. Do not begin with movement before alignment. Do not begin with speaking before surrender. Do not begin with activity before identity. First, you seek the kingdom. Then you speak who you are in the kingdom. Then you move as one who has been ordered by the King. That is not merely a routine. That is spiritual government entering your morning. Favor is not luck. Let me tell you something. Luck is the word people use when they do not understand divine order. Favor is not random. Favor is the evidence of alignment, stewardship, obedience, and divine timing working together. When your priorities are aligned, when your identity is established, when your steps are ordered, you create an environment where favor can rest. God blesses order. God breathes on obedience. God guides the person who is moving in agreement with his purpose. These three declarations answer three morning enemies. Distraction is answered by seeking first. Insecurity is answered by kingdom identity. Passivity is answered by ordered movement. Did you catch that? Every morning, something will try to distract you, something will try to diminish you, and something will try to delay you. But when you declare, I seek first the kingdom, distraction loses the throne. When you declare, I am a representative of the King, insecurity loses its name tag. When you declare, my steps are ordered, passivity loses its hiding place. This is why consistency matters. Inspiration can touch you, but consistency forms you. One declaration can encourage you, but daily declaration can disciple you. One morning of alignment can bring peace, but a lifestyle of alignment builds strength. Many people want transformation without repetition. They want a new life with old rhythms. But the kingdom is formed in you through daily agreement, morning by morning, word by word, step by step. So make it simple. Do not make this complicated. Take 3 minutes, 1 minute to seek, 1 minute to speak, 1 minute to choose your first obedient action before the phone, before the noise, before the complaints, before the demands. 1 minute to say, Lord, I seek your kingdom first. Govern my thoughts, my emotions, my decisions, and my day. 1 minute to say, I am created in your image. I am sent with purpose. I am not a victim of this day. I represent the King. 1 minute to say, my steps are ordered. Show me the first obedient action, and I will move with wisdom, courage, discipline, and purpose. 3 minutes can change the government of your day. Not because the minutes are magic, but because alignment is powerful. You can waste 3 minutes scrolling and train anxiety. You can waste 3 minutes complaining and train defeat. You can waste 3 minutes rehearsing fear and train confusion. Or you can invest 3 minutes in the presence of God and train identity. Every morning gives you that choice. Write the declarations down. Put them near your bed. Put them on your mirror. Put them on your desk. Place them in your Bible. Not as declaration, as covenant. Not as a cute sentence. As a morning agreement. Let them confront you before the day does. Let them remind you before pressure talks. Let them speak to your soul before the world hands you another script. Because what you repeat, you become sensitive to. What you practice, you become shaped by. What you honor first, you begin to carry throughout the day. If you keep placing kingdom truth before your eyes and releasing kingdom truth from your mouth, your inner life will begin to reorganize. Peace will replace panic. Clarity will replace confusion. Responsibility will replace excuse. Purpose will replace drifting. That is formation. Formation is when truth stops being information and becomes nature. Formation is when you no longer need crisis to remember God. Formation is when your first instinct becomes alignment. Your first response becomes surrender. Your first word becomes faith. Your first step becomes obedience. My friend, do not underestimate daily rhythm. The enemy does not fear a person who is occasionally inspired but consistently distracted. He fears the person who rises every morning and comes back into agreement with God. He fears consistency. He fears disciplined identity. He fears a believer who does not wait for feelings to obey truth. So let these 3 declarations become your morning system. Seek first and priority is restored. Speak identity and position is restored. Move with purpose and responsibility is restored. This is how the morning becomes an altar. This is how the day becomes stewardship. This is how favor becomes a lifestyle and not merely a surprise. Because when surrender, confession, and obedience meet every morning, heaven finds agreement in the earth. Now, before we pray, I want to bring you to a decision. Teaching is powerful, but teaching must become choice. Revelation is precious, but revelation must become agreement. Every morning is not only a new schedule. Every morning is a vote. You vote for the identity that will govern your day. You vote with your first thought. You vote with your first word. You vote with your first attention. Tomorrow morning, before the phone, before the pressure, before the first conversation, before the old thought pattern returns, decide what truth will have authority over your soul. Do not wait until fear is loud to choose faith. Do not wait until confusion is strong to choose order. Do not wait until pressure has already taken the throne to remember the kingdom. Choose first. Say it before anything else speaks. I seek first the kingdom. Then say, I am God's representative. Then say, my steps are ordered and I move with purpose. That is priority. That is position. That is movement. Did you catch that? You are not just reciting words. You are establishing government. You are telling your mind what will lead. You are telling your emotions what will bow. You are telling your day what truth has already been chosen. And I want you to make this agreement visible. Write in the comments, today I choose kingdom identity. Or write the specific truth you are choosing to believe and live out according to God's original purpose for your life. Not for performance. Not to impress people. Not as a religious display. No. Let that comment become a public agreement with truth and a reminder to your own soul. Sometimes your soul needs to see your decision in writing. My friend, before tomorrow tests your identity, decide today what truth will govern you. For the next 7 days, speak these declarations every morning, 7 mornings, before the phone, Before the noise, before the rush, speak them slowly. Speak them with understanding. Speak them as covenant. Watch how your identity begins to come into order. Watch how your choices begin to sharpen. Watch how your emotions begin to settle. Watch how courage begins to rise where fear used to sit. This is not about pretending the day has no challenges. This is about entering the challenge, already aligned. Pressure may come, but it will not be first. People may speak, but they will not be first. Problems may appear, but they will not be first. The kingdom is first. Your identity in God is first. Ordered steps are first. So make the decision now. Not tomorrow when you are tired. Not later when the day is already crowded. Now, heaven responds to agreement. And declarations are powerful, but they must flow from surrender, not ego. We do not declare to exalt ourselves. We declare because we have submitted ourselves to the King. Now let us bring these words before God in prayer. Father, before I give this day to noise, I give it to you. Before I answer pressure, I answer purpose. Before I look at the world, I turn my heart toward your kingdom. Before my emotions begin to run, before my mind begins to worry, before my schedule begins to demand, I surrender this morning to you. Lord, I acknowledge you first. Your kingdom is first, your will is first, your presence is first, your voice is first. I refuse to let the phone disciple my morning. I refuse to let fear preach the first sermon of the day. I refuse to let pressure become my prophet. Today I seek first the kingdom of God and your righteousness, and I trust that everything I need will come into divine order. Father, bring my words back into agreement with your original purpose for my life. I am not an accident. I am not a mistake. I am not abandoned. I am not behind in your purpose. I am created in your image. I am formed by your intention. I am called by your name. I receive my identity from you, not from yesterday, not from people, not from failure, not from fear, not from what I lost, and not from what I have not yet seen. Today I reject every false label that contradicts your design. I reject shame. I reject confusion. I reject comparison. I reject delay as my identity. I reject passivity. I reject fear. I reject the voice that says I am too late, too weak, too wounded, too ordinary, or too broken to be used by God. No, I am your workmanship. I am your representative. I am an ambassador of the King, and I enter this day under authority. Order my steps, Lord. Not only my desires, my steps. Not only my dreams, my steps. Not only my prayers, my steps. Direct my decisions. Govern my conversations. Strengthen my discipline. Purify my motives. Put wisdom in my mouth. Courage in my heart. Clarity in my mind. And obedience in my feet. Let me move with purpose today. Let me not drift. Let me not hide. Let me not delay what you have instructed me to do. Bless this morning. Bless the work of my hands. Bless my family. Bless my leadership. Bless my service. Bless my discipline. Bless my words. Bless my decisions. Bless the hidden obedience that no one sees but you. Let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. Father, establish it. Establish what is aligned with your will. Correct what is out of order. Remove what is distracting me from purpose. I declare that my mouth will not plant defeat today. My words will be seeds of life. My words will agree with heaven. My words will build, not destroy. My words will bless, not curse. My words will call my soul back into order when pressure rises. I will not speak as a victim of the day. I will speak as a citizen of the kingdom. And now, my friend, receive this by faith. Your morning can come back into order. Your identity can come back into alignment. Your steps can come back under purpose. This is not about religious performance. This is about surrender. This is about government. This is about allowing the King to speak before anything else speaks. Remember this. The phone must not disciple your morning. Pressure must not define your identity. Noise must not be the first authority over your soul. The kingdom must be first. The truth must be spoken. The assignment must be demonstrated. Seek, speak, move, priority, position, purpose. If this message is helping you build a life governed by kingdom truth, subscribe and continue this journey of daily alignment. And share this with someone whose mornings need to come back into divine order. Because sometimes one word of truth at the beginning of the day can rescue an entire season from confusion. Tomorrow morning, before the day speaks to you, let the King speak through you.